Hey,
Hey man, what's up?
how you doing?
Pretty good. So tell me more about this video thing you're doing.
Okay, so
Some of the best Bible quizzers can memorize entire books and can recall verses in seconds. These people are extremely talented and have been working on this skill for years. This video is worth watching even if you haven't quizzed before, because many lessons you can learn in quizzing help in real life. If you want to get to this level but don't know where to start, the best thing you can do is ask questions, and today we're going to be doing exactly that. I'm going to interview some top quizzers from all over America. Let's get into it.
my first question is, how did you start quizzing, and did anyone specifically get you into it?
So I come from kind of a quizzing family. So like all my brothers did quizzing. It was just kind of the expectation that I would do it.
Okay, well, I started teen quizzing mainly because my brother was doing it and I'd watched him and I was like, I think I want to do this too.
So it's actually kind of a funny story. I grew up very much like a sporty kid, I guess. I thought Bible quizzing was for nerds and I refused to start, till my 8th grade year. And I had to go to a practice for whatever reason. They convinced me to jump on a question and then I got hooked. I never stopped.
When did you start memorizing whole chapters?
I think it was my 3rd year.
I guess I had a few in Matthew, but that wasn't very serious. I probably couldn't quote them back very well. So I would say Romans and James.
The first chapter that I memorized was my 2nd year. The first time I memorized a whole book was my 3rd year, and it was Romans and James.
So I went straight from Matthew, not very memorized in anything, to Romans and James, full content.
It just kind of got to the point I did all the verses, and then I was like to my coach, what's next? He's like, oh, you should start memorizing chapters. So then I just did the whole book. So I was like, okay.
How much do you study? Daily, weekly, or whatever?
When I'm really, really locked in, the most I've studied is 3 to 4 hours a day. Usually on a typical day, it'll be 1 to 2 hours.
Daily is probably between 1.5 to 2 hours, but it kind of varies. But if I'm not, I can memorize 10 verses in 30 or 45 minutes probably. I almost always memorize over an hour a day.
How do you study? What methods do you use?
You know the blue book that has verse by verse?
Yeah.
So I memorize it from there, and then I'll take flashcards and I'll shuffle them up and I'll go out of order.
So I just sit down and I look at every verse and try to decipher every single possible general question that can be there. I just type them all out in a document. It's more for the review stage. So it's not just preparing myself now, it's preparing myself in a little bit so I can come back to those questions and just review them, preparing for a quiz or whatever.
My biggest problem was always when I was quoting, I'd be okay, how does this next verse start? I would take the first 3 words of that verse. If the first word is Paul an apostle, so it'd be PAA. And I'd remember that verse started with PAA. Then you can kind of fill in the blanks, and that helps. That's what I did.
What motivates you to do quizzing and to just put so much time in?
I think there's a mixture of things. When I first started getting really good at quizzing, it was in the midst of me changing a lot of things in my life. Quizzing was an anchor in the midst of me changing entirely who I was, choosing to start investing myself in my Bible and my health and etc. I don't know, I feel I connect my quizzing performance, maybe not in a good way, with my health and not my worth, but my progress, I guess. So when I'm not doing well in quizzing, it feels it's I lose that anchor a little bit.
Because there's been so many times, so many days where I don't feel like studying this. I really don't. You really have to look at it in the big picture. Okay, I don't want to memorize this today, but I'll be glad I memorized this tomorrow. I've never regretted a study session I've had looking back on it.
It's weird how important quizzing is, and I can't really I've never met someone who's been able to explain it to someone who doesn't do it. I'll tell people I do Bible quizzing and they're like, oh cool, what's that? And then it's
yeah, exactly.
I can never tell you what it is.
It's small, own little niche, but it's everything when you're in.
Do you have any unprompted advice that you feel you should say?
We tend to forget the bigger purpose. You really need to be aware of your heart posture. Why are you doing this?
Don't get so wrapped up in the performance that you forget why you're studying the Bible in the first place. It's not just words that you're quoting, it's words that you should live by, and you can't forget that.
I mean, that's all I got on my page. So that's basically it. Thank you so much, by the way, for
All right.
making time.
Yeah, no problem.
Of course, anytime.
Anyway, yeah, thank you for taking time to do this.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll see you, man. Talk to you later. All right.
See ya.